All right, I've got Lee Boyle from Third Class on the phone. How you doing today, Lee?
Good, man. What's happening?
Oh, a whole lot of everything.
Cool. This is the midnight hour, is that right?
Yes, it is.
So let me give you something free of charge.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Lee. Hi there. I'm Lee from the band Third Class, who you've probably definitely heard of and haven't not heard of. You're listening to the midnight hour. So now you can use that every episode. It'll be perfect.
Oh, that's sweet, man.
No, sorry. But yeah, man, that's cool. How many episodes you in?
This is the 11th episode, man.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Thank you. And you have a birthday tomorrow, right?
That's right, man. 31 years.
31.
Yeah.
So, you got the band together at a relatively young age then, right?
Yeah, it was around 1999. I would have been about 14 or 15.
Wow. How hard is it to keep a band together for 16 years?
It is hard. We had it kind of handed to us in that we lived together for the first few years. My brother Jack and our best friend Peppy, he actually lived with us and our mom during the time that we started. So we had it very easy. A lot of people have to lug their drum set, their amps to their friend's house, and it gets tedious. So we just rolled out of bed and wrote songs. So we got a good start.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to be in a band with your brother, though?
Yeah, both of them I consider my brothers, and it is difficult. Actually, even from the beginning, we it was one of those, I'm older than you, I'm cooler than you, don't hang out with me type vibes. I'm the oldest of three. Oldest of four if you count Peppy as a brother. So we kind of had that thing going, which of course isn't like that now. But, in high school, in middle school and high school, we'd be like, don't you tag along with me. I got my cool friends who are at my age and blah, 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 and this and that. But over the years, yeah, we fight. We have little moments where we're like, should we do this anymore? Is this going to be right? We have egos clashing constantly. I'm a nice guy, known as a nice guy, I'm definitely a control freak with the band. I'm the guy that kind of takes the wheel and does the marketing and a lot of the, play this like this, do this like this, that harmony was off type, logistics guy. So as the older brother to two younger brothers, as our dynamic has happened, or even to take it further, father and son dynamic even, we fight once in a while, and it's hard to hold it together, but it makes it worth it. You got to work a little bit to get anything you love happening.
When did you guys start playing shows? I know you guys got together in '99. When did you guys start playing out?
Well, we did technically start playing living room shows in '99. We played in somebody's barn. We played in other people's basements, houses. And then 2001 was when we actually started playing like in public, like at Cedars Lounge and places like that. Lazy Bean Cafe came soon after, which was in Columbiana, Ohio, and things like that. So yeah, 2001 would have been when we actually, went out and booked shows.
You guys, as far as the local scene goes, you guys have been able to remain somewhat underground.
Yeah.
How did you guys accomplish that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not that we wanted that necessarily. We definitely write songs with people in mind, with fans in mind, with Youngstown, Ohio in mind. We want to connect. But I think maybe the reason for us, as you say, staying underground is probably comes down to the song themes. We usually write about relatively specific things, and oftentimes the songs get very specific fast. And I think that kind of lends itself to winning over people one at a time. It's kind of like this song's about, somebody's dad, and so somebody else with a situation like that is like, hey, that sounds like what happened with me and my dad, or, oh, this song reminds me of me when I was a kid. We write a lot about childhood. So what I've found is over the years, usually the connection is only made one by one with people. It's not really a broad sweep. And that's not something we dislike. We are a few people's, we're lucky enough to be a few people's favorite band. And I want to make money. We do want to be successful, but at the same time, the really, really, really huge acts in the world, my theory is that not many people have them as their favorite band. Everybody just thinks they're okay, and that's why they sell a lot of albums. So, in a way, there's a little bit of a genuine attitude in Ohio and other places we go if people really do like the music, because it becomes sort of a cult type following, though a small one.
And one thing I've really noticed about your songwriting is it seems like you guys have more of a storytelling sort of structure to your songs.
Yeah, that's not really something we honed on purpose for the band. I'll really like English as a subject or language arts. A couple of us went to school for English. And a couple of us got some stuff published in poetry magazines, short story magazines. And so I think that lends itself to the music. A band called the Mountain Goats that's getting more and more popular these days, they categorize themselves as literary rock. And I kind of like that term. I kind of want to steal that for us. Literary rock. It's just rock that has a little bit of a narrative to it sometimes.
Yeah, you don't really see that a whole lot anymore in popular music, and especially in the local music scene.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. And that's not something I hope to see more of. It's not something that we necessarily pride ourselves on. We just ended up that way because that's how we talk. We tend to overanalyze, be long-winded about just on one subject. So I think that comes through very, very noticeably in our music. We hone in on one subject, and then we end up just inadvertently kind of telling a story.
So, being that you guys have been together for 16 years now, you've seen a lot of local bands come and go. Who are some of the bands that aren't around anymore that you would kind of like to see come back?
I miss. This is kind of weird, but in Akron in 2000 and maybe 7, we played with Nicholas McGallis and the Zoo. And the Zoo's still around, but Nicholas McGallis, I kind of really liked. There's kind of a White Stripes thing happening, and I know he's a guy who is now getting big for doing pop songs and doing comedy videos online and stuff. And I really like his work, but I really miss the kind of just the piano rock White Stripes feel from the Cleveland, Ohio area. Then more specifically, Youngstown. I miss. Oh, let me see. It's hard to even think now. I kind of miss Lady Fantastic.
I loved Lady Fantastic. It's not really my kind of music, but I really liked them. I came up as a teenager with bands like Sift, Cyrus, Slander, the heavier bands. But I really dug Lady Fantastic.
Yeah, they're good. And that's the same for me. I'm not somebody I don't even listen to even heavy. I'm the opposite end. I listen to much lighter stuff. I'm almost basically at my old age a soft rock type person now. And so Lady Fantastic, them and a band like Album, who's still going strong, they're kind of like fun surprises for me because I don't think I'm going to like it because of the genre, but they both have a theatrical quality, and Lady Fantastic had a theatrical quality in their performance, and Album continues to do so. And there's so many bands that have come and gone, and I've forgotten the names. There's so many favorites of ours, though. From Toledo, Ohio, is the Faux Pas, who played with us a lot. I think they're coming back to record at least a single, maybe not a live show, but put out something. And then there were a lot of old bands that kind of gave us a leg up. That started like Mystic Whip Hustler, who once in a while shows up and does a performance. And then who else was there? Shiva Magic doesn't exist anymore, but the guy who does it works on a camera crew who films Youngstown local music and stuff. He works for DP Visual Media, and a lot. So those guys were good. And actually, we kind of came up with a lot of jam bands, and we weren't ourselves that, but we started a lot more progressive rock sounding. initially. So those guys I kind of have a soft spot for that started out with us.
Yeah, and there's a lot more of those in Youngstown now than there ever was really before.
It seems like it, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but Jones for Revival is good. A lot of the bands, like some of the bands that like Five Elements aren't really a jam band, but in the vein of like reggae or stuff, kind of like that loose feel, stuff like that. It's funny. A lot of the stuff I'm a fan of isn't stuff that sounds like us at all, and so I suppose that is a well-rounded outlook. But yeah, a lot of the stuff I go see are bands that we don't end up playing a whole lot with all the time because sometimes the crowd won't be into both bands.
Yeah, see, I was always into the metal scene, you know, playing in bands. So the bands that I saw were the other metal bands. So I really didn't get exposed to any other types of music locally, really, until I started working for YoungstownScene.com, and I was going out and I was seeing more bands, and I was like, you know what, I kind of like this. You know, like I remember Future Grass was really, really good.
Oh, yeah. They're not around anymore, huh?
No, I think one of the guys or two of the guys or something like that might be in Jones for Revival now.
Okay, and they played didn't they play like a festival in Lisbon or something like that? A couple festivals in Lisbon.
They might have.
Wasn't there like a Future Grass Fest or something?
Something like that, yeah. I know I saw them at Vex Fest a few times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're cool. And I know some of those bands, like Olympus Mons band is gone, but they were kind of a jam band.
Yeah, they were really good too.
Cool. Yeah.
So you guys have a new record either coming out or is it already out?
It is out. The confusion lies in the format. We released it late 2014 on CD, and now we're having the vinyl release show at a place called the Corner Shop, which is in the Knox building where Martini Brothers Burgers is in Youngstown. We're doing that February 6th. That's a 5 p.m. show, so it's an early show as we get older. We're playing at 5 p.m., everybody in bed by 9 type So yeah, we're excited. We never put out anything on a record before, so we're excited about that.
So this is your first vinyl release then?
Yeah, and this is the album Hymns from Some Small Town. So we're excited because we not only is it the first time we're trying doing a vinyl release, but we feel it's the best sounding album to try to put on vinyl too. We think it's the best thing that would lend itself to that sound.
Yeah, I've noticed. I've listened to a few of the tracks from the album. It's got sort of like a almost like a 60s bubblegum pop sort of feel mixed in with a little bit of Motown.
Definitely. All of a sudden, we got this little bit of R&B influence under our belt from stuff that I credit a lot to stuff that our dad played for us when we were younger. He actually passed away in 1993. He had skin cancer, but we ended up kind of listening to lots of stuff like the Capitals or Gladys Knight and the Pips type stuff, and the Junior Walker and the All-Stars. We always had that kind of under our belt, but I don't know that we understood that we could play some stuff influenced by it until we got older. Maybe it's something you appreciate as you get older, but yeah. And then bubblegum pop, yeah, for sure. We've gotten just more and more poppy as we've continued writing, and that's not something we really have a lot of control over. I think that's just the direction we kind of had to go in from where we started.
So before this new record, what were some of your biggest influences musically?
I would say for me, Wilco was a big influence. I always kind of wanted to write songs like that were straightforward with some good lyrics, good love songs. A lot of times with the first record, Clo's Epitaph is Clo in 2006, I think we were coming off of a big stint with Radiohead. A little bit of Korn was in our youth. We listened to like Korn, Limp Bizkit, Orgy, all those guys that were kind of that school. And you can't really hear it that much on our record, but we're a little wilder on that first one. And I think that comes from a place that has to do with like the Beastie Boys. Actually, even I would go as far as to say like the Roots, Prodigy, a lot of the bands that got going in the 90s, we kind of latched on to, and we wrote a little bit crazier, wilder stuff. And then there were lots more time changes and weird time signatures. I think that came from liking progressive rock, in bands like Yes. No, we didn't grow up with them. I think they inadvertently influenced us. And then kind of the school of like Beck, Calvin Johnson, Nirvana. There's bands. It wasn't that we grew up with Beck, but then somebody else would come up to us and say, "You guys sound like this, and you guys sound like this," and that would turn us on to those bands we hadn't heard, like Gentle Giant from the '70s. We get Cheap Trick a lot. We sounded like them when we started. So it goes all over the map, but I think it can kind of be nailed down into like pop rock with the progressive rock and punk rock leaning. I think it is definitely ultimately pop, but I think those things are in the background a lot. Punk, well, Rancid was a huge influence on us.
Yeah, I'd love Rancid. They're an amazing band. They're like the modern Clash.
Sure, and the Clash became a huge influence too. It was just because I was born in '84, we just missed them just by a little bit and got into them later.
Now, how many releases have you guys put out?
Really, as far as full-length albums go, it's only 3 full-length studio albums. And then we put out an EP in 2011, which we raised money locally for, and we got it paid, 2/3 of it paid for by fans and friends and family and people that were just willing to help us out, give us a few bucks, so that then we could give that away for free when we went on tour or give it away locally. So technically it's 4 studio releases. Then there was a compilation here and there were early things that we sold ourselves at house shows. But by and large, the 4 studio releases are the things that have held and the things that you see at our shows and the things that people know.
You guys recently tried something a little bit new with the Seattle Stars release.
Yes.
Explain that a little bit.
That's the most important of the compilations. That was... what we did was we took one song that later appeared on Hymns from Some Small Town called Seattle Stars, and we wrote it kind of based on a summer camp we worked at in Seattle, Washington. We came back from Seattle, Washington, wrote that song, got it recorded, and then we sent it out to a bunch of bands from the Northeast Ohio area, bands that we thought would kind of work fast. Not that we wanted to rush the artistic process, but we just wanted to put it out before the album was out. And so an album did have a deadline because we have one of our band members travels a lot. So anyhow, we sent Seattle Stars out to a bunch of bands. I could list them all to you. I'll just hand you a couple. Human Petting Zoo, which is a ukulele punk. Sleep Projections, which are an awesome kind of post-punk Radiohead influenced band from Youngstown. Gave it to the Zoo, Sam Goodwill. Icarus Flu, who is a techno kind of electronic act. A bunch of other people. Sam Goodwill, who the guy produced half of our full length, gave it to all of them. Blew Through Branches, all these other bands. I'm trying to name them all, and they handed back to us a bunch of versions which are completely different from each other. And then we made this 10-song compilation, all of that song Seattle Stars, and then we put it up online for free. And we just wanted it to be kind of a sampler of Youngstown bands that were kind of the same genre as us or close to the same genre as us. And you don't want to be one of the guys that's like, record me a song for free and I will give you free exposure. But, we didn't want to do that. But I think all these guys are our friends or fans at least. And they were like, you know what? We'll give you a song for free. We'll record that for you just for the love of recording and doing music. And we really appreciated that. It was a very huge, generous gesture on all those bands' parts, because now it's just up there for free. Anybody can download it. It's on thirdclass.net on the Bandcamp download. There's no physical copies of it. It simply exists online, and we hope that it's a jumping off point for people to say, I like Third Class's song. I like this band's version. I'm going to go on Bandcamp and find that band's full-length album. I hope that it's something that will send you down the rabbit hole in exploring Ohio music.
Yeah, and it's a really cool concept. And, I listened to the whole thing. And, with it being the same song, I figured, I'll listen to one song here and there, but I actually wanted to listen to it all the way through to hear all these different versions of this great song.
Totally. I was surprised by that. That was just a bonus for me. I definitely thought people would have to skip around, but it totally does work all the way through. Surprisingly. Yeah,
definitely. I haven't really had a chance to listen to the whole album all the way through, the new album. But
Some Small Town, yeah. But you reviewed us single, right?
Yeah, but I got to tell you, Cold Morning Light, That is one catchy song, man. I find myself singing that sometimes.
Man, that's awesome to hear. That kind of means the world to us because I don't know. We're really big on writing songs that can mean anything, that are about something really specific, like list poems and things where you're listing specific moments in your life that can be interpreted in a million different ways. So the fact that we can just kind of take a few images, put them together, and make it something that does something for you is a huge thing, man. I don't know, like that's the best you can hope for, especially in Youngstown.
Now, you said earlier that you draw from your own life experiences when you write
Sure.
music. What life experiences were you drawing upon on this new album?
We kind of had a little bit of a lot of stress going on, not within the inner workings of the band so much, but just in family life. We had a lot of like anxiety happen in our family, lots of arguments happening, lots of like, what am I going to do with my life? What do I keep going to school? What's my next job? What do I, that kind of thing was just going on here and there. Kind of that energy was bouncing around. So I have to say we wrote a lot of these songs as therapy, going through the things we went through. I mean, these songs were written to keep us occupied, and I think we inadvertently ended up writing about like working with the kids, the campers in Seattle, because it was such a good thing for our attitudes. And then we ended up writing a lot about way back when we were real young, writing about times in the 80s and 90s when we spent time with our grandparents. Wrote about like old girlfriends, wrote about new relationships and stuff. I wrote a little bit about my wife and stuff, and I think I wrote more directly about her than I ever have before, too. She's actually on the cover in the corner as one of the little girls in the picture on Hymns from Some Small Town. And it's not that all the songs are dedicated to like our dad or my wife or each other. It goes all over the place, but I definitely think we wrote a lot about family, like way more than we ever have before.
Now, you keep mentioning this camp that you were at in Seattle.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
That was just something that my youngest brother, Steve Boyle, Summer Camp Steve is his musician name. He appears on that compilation. He has worked there the last 3 years, 4 years now, I think, Hidden Valley Camp in Seattle, Washington. So one year, me and my brother said we should go on a road trip. Steve says, how about this? How about I do you one better? Come and work at this camp for the summer for 9 weeks. So we paid some rent early. We got some stuff in order, and we took, a financial undertaking. You don't get paid very much working at camps. So we just kind of took a big chunk of risk and went out there. And my wife was a camp nurse. I was a driver for the kids. I drove them all over the place to hikes from the airport and all this stuff all day. And my two brothers did the camp counseling. Peppy from third class wasn't there, but we came back and wrote all these songs with him about it. I think he got the vibe from us that we got a very communal feel out of working at the camp. So that was summer 2013. And then we came back and kind of drew from that energy and started writing as a band.
I've learned from my experience that camping is probably one of the best atmospheres to write music. I once took a band that I was in out to the mountains in Pennsylvania for 2 weeks, and we wrote some of our best material then.
That's awesome. What band was that?
We were called Acid Rain.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, writing in the... I'm kind of handicapped when it comes to writing in the atmosphere. I think that's cool that you actually hung out in the mountains and wrote while you were there. I always have to do it and then come home and write about it. You know what I mean? I can't process fast enough.
Well, it was we sat around the campfire with acoustic guitars and just were writing like crazy. It was very inspiring.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah. Now you guys do play a lot out of town.
Yeah, we do.
Where's the furthest away that you guys have played?
I went and played third class sets by myself in Seattle and Portland, Oregon. That's the furthest away we've gone. Otherwise, the furthest west we've gone besides just hitting a couple of dates on the West Coast is just Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then east, we've gone New York a few times, a bunch of other places, Connecticut, Maryland. And then we've gone south to West Virginia. We've been to Louisville, Kentucky a ton of times. And I once played a show in Tennessee. So we've tried to stay all over the map, but it's writing original music. Even if you are getting fans and selling albums and T-shirts, it's really hard to keep that budget right. So we oftentimes have to be very economical in our tours.
So when you play at some of these places, how are the crowds? How do they, how do they react to you guys, being that you guys are from, Youngstown, Ohio, playing original music, songs they don't know?
Most of them are pretty cool. I mean, the other, Jack and Peppy, oftentimes will pull up to the venue and they'll be kind of fretting a little bit about are these people going to like us? Are we going to suck? Do they think we suck? And that's never the case. As we got older, there's always a handful of people that are I really like this. And I can tell you that at least since 2007, we've at least won over one or two people every show we've played out of town. It's never as bad as you think it's going to be. I used to give this little disclaimer oh, you have to hear us 10 or 20 times, then you'll get it, then you understand. But that's not the case. That was just me losing confidence in us as people. The cool thing is when we go somewhere we play, and there'd be a bunch of kids. A lot of times people our own age weren't the ones that dug it. It would be someone who was over 40 or someone who was under 21 or it was always these kids and these people who are a little bit older that really dug the stuff. So that's what I keep my eye out for when we go on tour. Those guys like it. The older people like it because there's a little bit of that, as you say, a Motown type thing now. Not really much at all, but just enough that you can hear that we're doing a nod to some love songs, oldie style. And the younger people like it because it's bouncy and fun. So I keep my eye out for that, and usually we will win over a handful of people.
So are there any bands around town right now that you guys haven't had a chance to play with that you would like to play a show with?
Yeah. For a while I was looking we missed a date. We were going to play with Amnesty for Astronauts, but I know that they've kind of disbanded, I believe.
Yeah, actually, they broke up. Actually, their former lead singer is going to be on the show as well.
Cool.
Today.
That's cool. That's what I thought. Was that, what's that dude's name? What's his name? I'm sorry, I'm blanking on it.
Which one?
The former singer.
Oh, they had two singers, a female and a male. The guy's name was Josh.
Josh, okay. And Allie I just saw Allie recently, right? That's Allie.
Yeah, Allie's the one that's going to be on the show today.
Cool. Okay. Oh, yeah. I just saw her very recently. Yeah, I like her, and I liked any of the members that got in contact with me. They were real nice, and I unfortunately never got to even see them play live, and I really regret that. But I'm excited for any projects they have coming up, and I hope that we can hook something up there. Otherwise, Human Petting Zoo, the 16, 17-year-old young girl who plays ukulele punk, would be a great opener for us. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot of bands that I know of that we haven't played with here or there. But I'm sure that I'm out of the loop. Unfortunately, people like me that play shows don't often get to them because they request off certain days from work to play, and then they miss the days when they want to go see their friends' bands and stuff. So do you have any recommendations of bands I should keep an eye out for? Oh,
there's so many of them. Baroque Monody is a really good band.
Yeah, man, they are good. I listened to that Emperor release, the most recent thing. I love that.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
So what's the future for Third Class? What do you guys have coming up?
We got that vinyl release show coming up. Probably have another music video at some point for this song from the same album. And I got a couple of shows in the works for Worcester, Ohio and Lakewood, Ohio. So that stuff should be available if anybody listening wants to go to www.thirdclass.net. We have our shows listed there. And so we're just going to try to sell this record and play a few shows and keep an online presence. And hopefully this Hymns from Some Small Town album will really do it for our fans. It'll make them happy, and hopefully somebody will get something out of it. So we're really just going to work hard on pushing that record from this point on.
That all sounds really awesome, man. Well, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. Unfortunately, we have to cut this off.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Brandon. And say hi to Allie for me.
Oh, definitely, man. All right. You have a great day.
You too.
All right.